You keep hearing people say it casually, almost like a joke. Those were the best years of my life. And every time you hear it, something inside you tightens. Because a part of you wonders if that's already true for you too. Maybe you look back at a season when things felt lighter, when your body had more energy, when hope came easier, when relationships felt simpler, when you didn't overthink every decision. And now life feels heavier, more complicated, more responsibility, more loss, more pressure. So without meaning to, you start assuming the best part already passed you by. That thought doesn't usually come all at once. It sneaks in quietly. When you scroll through old photos and feel something ache. When you compare your life now to how it used to feel, not how it actually was. When you catch yourself saying, I don't feel like myself anymore. And you don't know how to get that version of you back. But here's the truth. We rarely stop to question nostalgia edits the past. It keeps the highlights and deletes the anxiety, the confusion, the nights you didn't sleep, the uncertainty you were drowning in back then. You weren't as carefree as you remember. You were just unaware of how much you'd eventually grow. Your best years are not defined by how easy life was. They're defined by how deeply you live. And depth almost always comes later. Right now, you may feel tired in ways you didn't used to. Tired of figuring things out, tired of being strong, tired of carrying responsibility without applause. But tired doesn't mean finished. It usually means you've been building something quietly for a long time. Think about people in Scripture who didn't step into their most meaningful seasons early. Moses didn't lead anyone while he was young and confident. His defining years came after failure, after exile, after thinking his chance was gone. David was anointed early, but waited years before anything looked like it made sense. Even Jesus spent most of his life unseen, ordinary, unnoticed before the world ever paid attention. The point isn't the timeline. The point is that growth doesn't peak early. What you have now that you didn't have before is awareness, discernment, emotional intelligence, boundaries. You know what drains you. You know what matters. You know what you won't tolerate anymore. Those things don't make life flashy, but they make it grounded. And grounded lives last longer. Sometimes you think your best years were behind you because you confuse intensity with meaning. Youth often feels intense because everything is new. But meaning grows when you understand yourself. When you stop chasing approval. When you start choosing intentionally instead of impulsively. Your future years may not look louder, but they can be richer. Richer in peace, richer in clarity, richer in relationships that are chosen, not clung to, richer in purpose that isn't rushed or performative. You haven't missed your window. You haven't peaked. You're not late to your own life. You're simply entering a season where depth matters more than speed, and honesty matters more than image. If your life feels quieter now, that doesn't mean it's shrinking. It may be settling into something stronger. Trees that grow deep roots don't rush upward. They prepare first. God is not done working because you're older, slower, or more cautious. He often does his most meaningful work when people finally stop pretending and start living truthfully. When they stop chasing who they were and start becoming who they're meant to be. Your best years are not behind you. They're just not going to look like the years you keep replaying. They'll look like wisdom instead of chaos, peace instead of pressure, depth instead of noise. And one day, you'll look back at this season and realize this was the moment life finally started to feel real.